I've been using this expression, you will own nothing and be happy for years. So when I saw that, according to Nicole's channel, posted a video like this, I don't watch her content. I just take her transcripts and turn them into my own. But it made me remember all of the times that I've used that expression. And then you think about everything that you're renting right now. I feel like we've gotten to the point where we're even renting our food or buying everything on payments. Like I read an article or a comment somewhere in the last couple of days that said, "I'm finally paying off my groceries from November. I'm on my last payment," and it really does feel like that because the last time I looked at my car loan, I've spent years just paying interest. That means that the bank has had me on the hook for a car that will not be worth anything in the next couple of years while I'm still making interest payments. And I pay so little on the principal that if for some reason I can't afford my car, they're going to get 3 years of interest payments. And you wonder, it's like, how is this even legal? How is a 30% interest credit card legal? Why is white collar crime not considered illegal? Because let's face it, nearly all of us are going to get to a point in which we're going to be desperate for whatever scraps that we can get. I've been telling you guys this for a while, but I think we're soon entering a future in which you're going to have to pay a company, Evil Corp. Let's just not sugarcoat who we're going to pay. They're going to start charging us in order to apply for jobs for wasting their time in interviews. Because why wouldn't they? I mean, they've managed to monetize everything else in our world. I mean, I get to the point some days where I look around at my house and I think, this is all I own. And it's practically nothing. They told us we were buying things, but really we were just signing up to rent our own lives back in pieces. I bought a phone, but I can't change the battery. I bought a doorbell, but I can't watch the footage without a subscription. And now I'm starting to realize that maybe I don't actually own anything. That's the thing. All my security monitoring cameras, I have to pay Amazon a monthly fee in order to be able to access them. And I think that it's really stupid. And that's why they make the cameras so cheap because they know they've got you for that subscription service for as long as you want to use it. I've even heard that Microsoft Windows plans on going to a subscription service in the next version of Windows. And people look at me and think I'm stupid because they think that would be impossible. Why would you get a subscription service on a computer? Therefore, if you don't renew your subscription every year, you don't have a functioning operating system. But isn't that what every other company has done? Acrobat, um, Korea, all the AI softwares that I use to create the channel, they're all monthly subscriptions. I mean, everything that I can think of that's a monthly subscription is an outrage. Our streaming services, for instance, there are people who have 3 or 4 streaming services. I think I'm subscribed to 4 different AI models that I can use in order to generate content. But even that becomes overwhelming. Like you can't flat out buy your internet anymore. Even your car feels like the rental price of your car is insurance, gas, and your car payment. We're all running around in a society where just getting to work costs us around $1,000 a month just to go to work. And I'm certain that they're working on a way of getting us to buy into more subscription services. The first time that I heard that, I believe it was BMW, charges you a monthly subscription service in order to be able to use certain parts of your own car. I mean, that's how ridiculous we've gotten. We're not buying anything. And to me, I find it shocking that there hasn't been more pushback. Like, I can't just buy a Photoshop license anymore. Every year, Adobe for Illustrator, or no, excuse me, Premiere, what I use for creating all my programs, somehow they managed to find a way of getting you to buy another one every year. Like I'm on the 2024 version of which a Premiere right now. But every once in a while, it shoots an ad into the corner and asks me to upgrade to the latest version. And I'm like, I have bought a new version of this program 3 years in a row because I keep losing the the installers. And Adobe has gotten vicious about hiding those installers. Like I had the 2023 version of Premiere. They stopped offering the installer. You can't find it anywhere online. They've made certain that they've swept the entire internet, making certain that you can't find that installer. You lose your installer, and therefore you can't use the software anymore. And I thought, oh my God, it took me so long. I even went back and got on my old computer to try to use my old Premiere, and my old computer was just not. It's not as beefy as my new computer, and my new computer's a few years old now. But my old computer is seventh generation i7, so when it comes to rendering video, it just doesn't have the power to do it. Anyhow, let's get into talking point number one. What used to be a one time purchase is now an endless lease. From Kindle books that can vanish overnight to cars that lock basic features behind a paywall. We're tricked into thinking we own things, when in reality, we're just licensed users with no rights and no permanence. I feel that way about employment. Everything that ChatGPT just put into this feels like it could be part of your employment. Want flexible time? You got to pay. Want to wear comfortable clothes? You've got to pay. Want to wear a t-shirt at work on Friday you have to buy one from the company store and you're allowed to wear the company t-shirt. I mean, they've gone so far, and I've seen this on Reddit posts where your boss will try to tell you that you have to pay a certain amount to use the microwave at work, or that you you're not allowed to bring your cell phone to work because they don't want you wasting company electricity charging your phone. That I think was one of the most outrageous ones that I've heard of. But corporations are getting sneakier and sneakier about passing costs on to workers because they don't compensate you for working from home or for using your own personal phone number for work. It used to be that everyone got a company phone. When I worked at the sports stadium years ago, I mean, I had boxes and boxes and boxes of cell phones every single year because everyone that worked there, especially the football department, everyone got a new phone every year. It was ridiculous. We had so many cell phones, and we're talking about high end cell phones too. We had, I mean, I must have had 1,000 cell phones at one point in my inventory because every year they'd come in, they'd ask for another one, the latest iPhone, and you're just like, this is absolutely ridiculous that the company provides a free phone and free service to everyone, and that phone can become your personal phone. And you're not required to answer it unless you that's part of your contract when you sign on. Like my former boss when I worked there, he refused. The company bought him a nice phone, and every Friday at 5 o'clock, he'd let us all know in the office that he was putting his work phone inside of his drawer at work, and he was going to leave it there and wasn't going to answer it on the weekends or at night, therefore defeating the point of having a company phone. All right, let's move on to talking point number two. These systems aren't designed to help you, they're designed to extract. Monthly fees keep us dependent, broke, and constantly paying for the same product over and over. It's not innovation, it's monetized captivity. This is the way that I've felt about the Call of Duty franchise now for the past, 20 years that Call of Duty's been around? It's just like Madden. They give you a few paint swatches, they add a few more pay products, more skins into the game, and they nickel and dime you constantly all year long with new content that, in my opinion, should have been included in the original game. or given to you for free to keep you playing the game. So if there's going to be some DLC that comes out every 3 months in the life cycle of that game until they put out a new one with new map packs and new accessories and new characters, whatever they're going to throw into that DLC, either you don't pay for the game initially or they make that content for free. But of course, they don't care what people actually want. I'm actually glad that they finally got loot boxes out of video games because it seemed ridiculous. I think they took them out a few years ago when people were advocating against them because it was a lottery or a casino for kids. Because you'd ask your parents for like V Bucks or whatever, COD points, whatever the in currency game is, and then you would buy mystery boxes that usually were full of crap. You could also earn them in game by playing the game, but of course, the people that paid usually had a better chance at getting the latest content, the latest whatever accessory they added into the game with that DLC. But again, it comes down to extracting, extracting, and extracting, making the same thing feel like it's new again. It's like having to be with the same person for an extended period of time. Every morning you wake up and it's the same person. In fact, I was just discussing that with Salon Girl number one yesterday because she'd been married for 10 years, and I said, it would be really hard for me to have to wake up next to the same person every day for a decade and know full well that that person was going to say the exact same thing every day. Because if you've ever been close to another person for any large amount of time, our lives are simple. We crap when we wake up, we eat lunch, we go home, we entertain ourselves by watching whatever crap is on the internet. Then we go home, then we go to sleep and we wake up and we do it again. And yet there's this person always in our area that, and I hate to say this, but you get tired of seeing them. We get tired of seeing the same pink taco every single day and knowing full well that even if you participate in the devil's tango, chances are it's going to be the same. Very rarely do people deviate from the script. And that's actually a video that I watched last night from that YouTube channel called Moon, where the surveillance across the board is watching people's behavior. They're looking at us to see changes in behavior, especially in the workplace, to see what's going on with you. What are you doing? What's changing about you? And in order to use that information and to verify your work performance, they were also using it in Afghanistan to to identify potential insurgents. They were watching people, monitoring people, waiting for them to deviate from ordinary patterns of behavior, and that's the way they could come to the conclusion that you were up to no good. I mean, we do the same thing. I mean, you've been in a relationship where suddenly that person that you're with, they smell different. They're acting different. They're happier or sadder. Something changes in their behavior that suddenly gives you all of the alarms that you need in order to realize that you're going to get dumped. Because I saw it. I mean, I've seen it so many times where they meet a friend and suddenly they're spending more time with the friend than you are. They are being secretive about where they're at, and they're not as home as often or when they should be. And when subtle changes like that come into effect, you know that bad things are going to happen to you. In fact, one of my former coworkers, he'd been calling me for months telling me, "Hey, Millennials team, I'm going to get fired." And eventually it happened. But it was almost a self fulfilling prophecy because he just kept saying it. Like, hey, if you just change your behavior, you won't have to get fired. And when I confronted him about his bad behavior at work, he got so defensive about it because it was simple. He was screwing up at work because he had a lot of personal problems, but he couldn't change it. His life was taking a severe downturn. And to all of us, we could see that something bad was happening to him. But when we're being monitored for the same thing, if you don't show up at work with a smiley face, or suddenly your quality of work, or you stop showing up, your employer is going to detect it. They know when, like, for instance, when my even my employee doesn't show up on some days, or he sneaks off to go do something, all of my workers over the past few years have snuck off suddenly during the day after getting a mysterious phone call to go do job interviews for other companies. When I started working for Evil Corp, my original senior manager would take interview calls right in front of me, or sneak off for 15 minutes to go do interviews in another room. And so I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. I mean, every single employee that I've had that's worked underneath me has started looking for a job immediately, and they all do. And for a lot of them, being young, they think that somehow the world is going to give them more money for the experience that they don't have. All right, talking point number 3. When companies control your access to your own belongings, they also control how and when you can live. No repairs without permissions, no usage without internet, no security without a subscription. If you can't fix it, sell it, or use it freely, it was never yours to begin with. That is so true. I almost feel like you could say that about the proletariat's lives. They're not our own. Owning nothing means that they own us in every respect. I mean, think about how important it is for you to have a job. You don't have a job and you're not rich. What happens to you? Well, your lifeline to life diminishes. It's like a straw that's breathing air into a bubble where you live in the wage cage. And when someone stops pumping air into your work bubble, then suddenly you're not looking too good. You're floundering around like a fish that just jumped out of its fishbowl. And it's not going to get any better until you get another straw. And for many people, getting to that financial straw again is going to be a near impossibility. And I keep saying that because many people will not believe at how bad things are going to get with your employment in coming years. It is going to be nearly impossible to be able to find a good paying job, or even a halfway decent paying job. I mean, I've known Mello for a long, long time. I think I've known Mello since I was 25, or maybe a little bit older, maybe 28. And in that time, she has not been able to really better her lifestyle by incrementally getting better jobs. The same thing can be said about all my Gen Z workers, is that their lives are not going to get better because they're not taking steps. And it's not because of they're not trying. It's just the opportunities to move up in society are not being presented to everyone equally. In fact, I would say that the lack of opportunity in this country is one of its greatest downfalls, because people just can't get promoted, they can't get better jobs, and they're job hopping laterally financially for years at a time. And this is something I saw when I was working at Walmart, is that the kids, or God forbid, older people, when they would get fired from one retail job, inevitably, because working in low level experience jobs means that they're only going to tolerate you until they don't. And that can happen very quickly. In fact, I was talking to one of the managers at Walmart, that not the one that I worked at, but the one up the street. And she told me she just hired some guy and she didn't like the way he worked. So she was going to make a point of getting rid of him by the end of the day. It's a right to work state, people. What can you do? All right, let's close out this with the closing monologue here. This isn't about being old fashioned or refusing to adapt. It's about control. If everything we buy is locked behind subscriptions, apps, and software walls, then nothing is truly yours. We're always one password, one outage, or one policy change away from losing it all. Ownership gave us freedom. Subscriptions gave us dependency. So maybe it's time to start asking, who really owns your life? Because if the answer isn't you, then you're not living in a free market. You're living in a rented reality. Wow. A rented reality. Oh, that cut me deep. It caused my rear end to pucker up. A rented reality. I would say that's one of the first thoughts I have every single morning when I wake up, when I know that I've got to go drop my tidy whities every morning at Evil Corp and tell Fleece to come on in, because you're not living in your reality. If you have to go to a job you hate every day, it doesn't pay you enough to cover the basics. If you're living a life in which you're in full survival mode all of the time, then are you really alive? I mean, you're the rented reality we live in is a scam to an extent, because we can't work our way out of the scam. We just have to smile and assume the position. And I'm sick and tired of assuming the position. I mean, there's not going to be any traction left back there by the time I get to a point in my life where I can be comfortable. Or it's the point of life to be completely uncomfortable, financially unsafe, financially insecure, work being completely unstable, and wondering when it's going to be your turn.